Hey everybody, it's Peter, and this is the Mazda CX-30. This is an interesting vehicle to me within the Mazda lineup because they have an all-wheel drive Mazda 3, which is a sedan. They have an all-wheel drive CX-5, which is a little larger, and this sits in between those. This replaced the CX-3, which, to be fair, the CX-3 was quite small, had a fairly small trunk. What I like about this car is it's got good technology, it's got decent style, and it's a nice upgrade from that CX-3. The question that you have to ask yourself is, will it work for you? And that's what I'm going to help you try to answer with this video. So I'm filming here at Jim Gilbert's Wheels and Deals, where they give me complete access to their entire vehicle lineup. And if you have questions about this vehicle or other vehicles in its class, make sure you subscribe. Let me know in the comments below, because I'll make sure I come back to vehicles like this exact vehicle, and other vehicles to make sure that you get the answers that you need. So let's get going with this review. So a couple other things you should know in the Mazda lineup. The MX-30 is an electric vehicle in this kind of class, where the CX-30 is still a gas car. So that's one thing you have to kind of be careful with Mazda's naming. I liked it better when Mazda gave cars names like the Miata, where everyone knows what it is. CX-30, MX-5, MX-30, those kinds of things, they all sound alike, and they're actually very different cars. So the CX-30 that we have here is that small crossover. And yesterday I took a look at another small crossover, which was the Ford EcoSport. Technically, these are in the same class, but they are actually extremely different. It's almost like everything is different. You'd never assume they're in the same class, and that's the important thing in shopping for your car, sitting in your car, and not just comparing a spec sheet online. Once you get to this car, it really has a different feel than something like the EcoSport and other vehicles in this class. So one of the things this vehicle does well is it really steps up that modern look, that modern feel, that modern technology. So what you have in here is a single headlight. Mazda does this a lot. It's a single headlight instead of a dual high beam, low beam. So it's all built into one unit. It gives you great lighting. Great lighting is kind of a feature of more higher end vehicles, but in this class, it's starting to work its way in. This would be sort of top of the line type lighting in the class. You've got that sharp new Mazda look. You've also got some safety features up here. You've got a camera up here that looks forward that can help keep an eye on the lane markers for you. It contributes to the smart cruise control. It contributes to forward collision braking, so essentially it can look for a collision about to happen and assist you in trying to brake to avoid the collision, or at least minimize the collision. So a lot of those safety features are there. Then you have an all-wheel drive with decent sized tires, a little bit of extra ground clearance that give you some versatility, and because it's a Mazda, it handles well. The other thing different is the engine in here. A little larger engine for the class. It has cylinder deactivation, which is an interesting piece to it. So it's a 4-cylinder engine that can cut back cylinders and help you save fuel as well. So Mazda has some really interesting powertrain technologies, but they're also still very much driver's cars. But what is it like to live with? Well, let's start with looking at the trunk space, rear seat space, and then we'll get into the technology in the driver's seat. Let's do that all right now. So let's take a look at the back end of the car here. You can see the dual exhaust. So again, not an electric vehicle at all. You also will notice things that you probably can't see. There's a little dot right there. There's a little dot right there, and another one up top there. And those are little backup beepers. They progressively beep quicker, or those are actually the sensors that activate the beepers. It progressively beeps quicker as you back into things. And normally I show you the key fob when I go to the driver's door, but it's important to show you here. All the buttons are on the side here, so again, they won't accidentally be pressed when you stick it in your pocket, but this one has a powered trunk. So lock, unlock, trunk, and the panic button, we can hold that button down and activate the powered trunk, which is again fairly rare for the class. Now the CX-3, as I put those keys in my pocket, CX-3 was the previous model, and it had a laughably small trunk with kind of a weird shaped opening. You're supposed to buy an SUV for extra space, and it just wasn't that. But it also had some weird kind of shaped openings here. This one's nice and square, and again, you kind of feel, especially compared to that EcoSport that we had yesterday, where a lot of it was plasticky, you feel a higher end vehicle here. You've got a soft carpet floor, soft carpet walls, everything is carpeted, so nothing's rattling around in the trunk here. You do have 3 child seat anchors. We're gonna talk about child seats in this car. They maybe work for you, they maybe don't. There's also some tie downs in here, so good trunk space, especially compared to the CX-3 that it replaced. Now let's look at the rear seats. You know, rather than refilming and re-editing, let's just show you the trunk. I didn't realize you couldn't see it that well, so there's a better look at the trunk space. There is an LED light up here. You've got the cargo cover, and you can see those 3 child anchors sitting in there. And again, fairly good open space, not massive, but certainly class competitive. And again, carpet absolutely everywhere. All right, so as I approach the back seat here, the back doors, I'm gonna tell you right now, I normally have the vehicle off, but I have it running because it's a black vehicle, it's a hot sunny day, and I wanna be a little bit more comfortable inside. Back here, you do have nice, big, wide opening doors, and there's a two-tone color scheme here. And I wanna show you my hand on camera. See how my hand does not look like it's skin tone very well? Well, neither does that brown reproduce properly. So I wanna just point out that there is a two-tone interior in this car, but if you don't like what you're seeing on camera, don't worry. It's the way the camera adjusts to the darker interior, that color does not reproduce well. To me, this is quite tasteful in its color differences. And down here you have fairly sporty seats. You've got a bump up in that middle there, and you've got the inside of the perforations here have that same brown color, which just adds a visual interest to this car that, again, sort of brings it a class above what you might think it to be. So again, the color isn't identical to what you're seeing here, but it is kind of tasteful and nice. Now, what we're gonna do here is I'm gonna sit in this seat, which is adjusted for my size, and I wanna show you what it's like in here. All right, so this is a smaller crossover, and you get what you know, it's very much what's advertised. Now, there is a sunroof up front, which you can see right over there, and that needs a space to go, and then it gives you a bump up. It is properly placed, that bump up, and if I lean forward, I just clear it. I'm about 6 feet tall, and I have, a little bit more than a hand width of space above my head. So not a ton, but I do fit back here. Now, a couple things that are really good. I'm gonna put the armrest up, which we'll show you in a second here. Let's look down. You can see that my legs are flush on the seat. That is something you are definitely gonna wanna look for in a smaller crossover, because that's the difference between being comfortable and uncomfortable. Now, the other thing is this driver's seat is set for me as a driver. This is about, 2 fingers width of space, and the seat kind of curls out. It carves out. You can sort of see the design there. It carves out there to fit my knees. This is not a roomy small SUV. There are roomier options. So where does that play out? If you're just taking friends and you're a 6-footer with a 6-footer behind you and you're just taking friends around town, they're gonna be fine. And to be honest, I've got plenty of room to move around and be comfortable. I could probably be quite comfortable here for a long time. But if you're any taller than me, your tall friends are going to have trouble fitting in the back, or if you're taller than me in the driver's seat, you're going to have trouble fitting passengers back here. So it's something to keep in mind. The other thing to remember is, although it does have the 3 child anchors on these seats, you can put the child seats wherever you want them. If you have a rear-facing seat, you're going to be forced to put that in the passenger seat if you are someone of my size. And even, frankly, if you're someone shorter than me, you're going to have to move this seat further forward for a child seat. So if you're in that small crossover segment and you've got rear-facing child seats, this is something you're going to want to shop the competitors to make sure you have the space you need. However, if you have forward-facing or average-sized people behind average-sized people, it's actually quite good back here. The other thing to look for here, oops, got the camera going the wrong way, is you can see you do have the vents back here. So when I turned on the vehicle to get some cool air back here, a lot of vehicles have vents only underneath the seats. This one does have vents in that center console area, so that's very good. You have a pocket on the passenger side seat, but you do not have a pocket on the driver's side seat here. I don't know why we don't do that, why we don't put it on both seats now. Used to be for map books. The driver could put his map book back there and access it when he or she was on the road. We don't have map books anymore. We have Apple CarPlay, Android Auto. We don't need that, so let's put a pocket for both rear seat passengers. Anyways, that's what you have here. So again, good back here if you have realistic expectations. When you're buying a car in this class, you have to decide what you're going to use it for, and that's something to keep in mind. So where the rear seat is a bit of a compromise, the front seat is excellent. And if you're spending your time there and it's just you and one other person, this is very good stuff. So again, keep in mind that brown interior there is much more tasteful in person than it's showing up on camera, but you've got dark black, a dark charcoaly gray that looked black to me until I saw that black. Then you got the brown accents there. You have a Bose audio system in this vehicle, so sound quality is excellent. All the buttons feel nice, touch nice, that kind of thing. Let's go fully wide angle here. Actually, let's just show you the powered seat for a second here. Should point out the powered seat as well. Fully powered seat with a lumbar adjustment, tall side bolstering. So again, that nice handling, nice stitching in here. And again, the brown looks much better in person than it does here on camera. Let's go wide angle. We'll jump in here. You have a tilt and telescopic steering wheel. I am going to bring it a little forward here just to kind of get rid of it there. There is some glare on this screen from the sun. It's worse on camera than in person. I was going to move, but I think I'm going to leave it there because what's interesting about this speedometer, if we show you there, let's go right in there, is this speedometer is not just a speedometer. It is also an information display screen, and it can fully change to a digital display, including showing you, if I can get the shadows right, showing you sort of your full vehicle safety systems type thing. It is very, very well done. It blends in, you wouldn't even know it's a screen, but it's very adaptable. And then you have Mazda's screen over here. Again, it's showing some glare here on camera, really not bad in person. It is a long ways away from you, but you have Mazda's system down here of a controller that kind of adapts to everything you need. So let's just pull up what we can do in here, some of the areas here. So we can go to the home screen right here. We can cycle through communication, navigation. Let's just see if this one has a nav card in it. There you go. You have your mapping system there. So again, I'm showing you wide angle so the screen looks small. Whoops. As we switch there, you can see the screen's reacting to the camera there. That's why there's lines going up that doesn't actually show to me in person, but there we go. So this is a nice big wide screen, and if we go to the peripheral vision again here, it's within your line of sight. So your nav is up there. Again, just nice things in there. We'll go back to the home button here. We'll go through the entertainment information. Let's go to entertainment here. We'll select that. So there's your radio there. You can change a whole bunch of different things in here. So your source list, let's just go to there. AM, FM, satellite, oops, let's just zoom in a little bit more for you. AM, FM, Sirius XM, so satellite radio, Pandora, Bluetooth, and you've got USB ports as well. So all kinds of things. We're just going to keep it on FM for now. So the way this all works in a Mazda, and you've probably seen this if you're researching Mazdas, I'm sure this isn't the first video you've seen, but this is all working here. This is very intuitive. It's easy to use as a touch screen. In fact, I think it's sometimes it's easier. You can choose your music, you can get to home, all kinds of other things, and then you can spin this and press it to select it. Your volume switch for your radio is over here, and so everything is right there by the gear shift, and it falls naturally in front of the armrest here. And what that means is you have a nice screen within your view that isn't going to get fingerprints, isn't going to be, you know, down in a weird spot where you have to take your eyes a long ways off the road, and you can easily control it, and that kind of cleans up the whole button look of this car. So again, I'm going to try to keep the camera away from some of the wind blowing out. Actually, it doesn't matter, I'm wearing a mic. So you've got a nice little display screen down there for a dual zone automatic climate system here, which we can sync together here if we want to. And again, there's some glare on the screen that I don't see from the driver's area. Don't know how to show that a little bit better. Let's just go down into here. There we go. So there's your display screen. Let me just back off. Whoa, wrong way. So there's this area here, automatic climate control, dual zone temperature, and then you've got a steering wheel heater, a little bit hidden on the camera view there, but steering wheel heater, rump roasters in the front seats here, so heated seats, and it's 3 levels of heated seats. I definitely don't want those on today. It's a very warm day. And this minimalist design here, if we go sort of back here, carries over to the steering wheel. It's hard to show on camera, but these are very thin spoked wheels. It's almost like the original Miata thin spoked wheels, but you have all kinds of controls in here. So if we zoom all the way in here, let's just do that for a second. You can see that there's info buttons here, your Bluetooth and talking buttons there, source button right there. You can change the things. So all of these are little buttons. There's a mute button in between your volume buttons in there. And same thing over here with the cruise control. Cancel button, resume button, all of these are buttons, and those are buttons. Again, it's a smart cruise control system, so it can keep its distance from the vehicles in front of you. These two are sort of dummy switches on this particular trim line, cruise control, but all of those buttons are easy to access and are very good and simple and small. So the clean look of this is very good. Sometimes when they go with the clean look, they end up being harder to use. You don't really have that issue here. It's all easily accessible. You're gonna memorize where some of these are pretty quickly, and you'll be good to go. Over here, you've got a few SUV type things. Even though you're never really gonna take this far off-road, you do have a sort of an off-road, sort of hill descent probably type mode or traction system there. You have your safety systems over here. Those are your rear parking sensors there. Let's just take a quick look at the backup camera. Whoa. Got to get a little better camera work here. I want to show you the back camera as we throw it in reverse. It is nice and clear, has a little extra shading. So let's just move in here again compared to other backup cameras. Again, as the camera switches, you see some lines moving through the screen, but yeah, a little extra shading in there. As I turn the wheel, it does turn with me. It sort of shades that behind you area there. But yeah, just kind of a decent camera there, and then your backup sensors, because it's a wide screen, can beep at you and show you. If I switch the camera system here, oh boy, let's see if I can get in there. Yeah, there we go. You can see some sensor imagery will show up there on the vehicle there. So just good stuff overall with your backup camera, clear screen, clear information, that kind of thing. And then you've got little things like the automatic headlights as well as automatic high beams in there. Tap the end, you'll have your automatic high beams. You also have automatic wipers. And again, that's where this vehicle just steps up its feature content bit by bit by bit to give you just some really just good, nice features to have. You've also got paddle shifters here on the wheel if you want them, and right over there. So lots of little good, easy to use things. Now let's go fully wide angle again here. You've got a little spot down here, which is useful for some things. You've got USB port right up in there, which is a little hard to see. No door on that, which is a little interesting. It's feels like it, you know, it's hidden from the driver's view almost, but it feels like it's kind of out in the open. A little carbon fiber type pattern in here, not exactly carbon fibery, but similar to me. Pop that open, you've got your cup holders, and then your nice leather shift, gear shift. So everything feels and works nice. Sport mode on and off right there, electronic parking brake. And then sort of your stereo and infotainment system. Now the other thing that's interesting is we stay wide angle here. I'll try to film this as best I can. This is your center armrest. Again, normally I would be pulling it with my right hand. It flips back here. You can sort of have a phone sitting in this general area if you wanted to, but you can also open it up from there. And you do have to pull the lever to open it, so it's not going to come up on its own. But you can pull that up, and then you have this area here where this is movable from here to there. You got a 12-volt port, USB port, all kinds of stuff in there. So kind of a neat way to access hidden storage there as you pull this handle up to move it front and back like that. Looks a little more aggressive because I'm using my left hand to do it because I haven't got my hands the right way. But kind of a neat way to do storage. Let's flip the camera around and show you what I look like in here. So sitting in this vehicle for a small crossover, the one thing you're going to find is it's very car-like. And I'm about 6 feet tall. To get the headroom that I'm comfortable with, you know, I put it a couple inches off the ceiling, a little bit more space than I had in the back under here. And again, I can move more up by the sunroof there. But to get the headroom I'm comfortable with, I'm underneath here. I move the seat quite low. By doing that, you can see that the walls, the sides of this car, are about shoulder height to me. So it gives you that sitting in kind of feel. Something like the EcoSport we drove yesterday has lower windows. The Subaru Forester that we looked at recently had lower walls and bigger windows. So you're very much in this car. For some people, they're gonna really like that view, but it does give you a little bit different feel here because you are sitting lower. There is a, when you look forward here, I can't film it today, it's just such a bright day. There is a heads-up display here as well that shows things in front of you. So you're compact in here, you're looking out, you've got all the controls within view, including the backup camera, the backup here, including that screen display there and everything in front of you. So while you sit low, the feeling is low and in control, and it's gonna be something that really appeals to people who consider themselves to be drivers. When they talk about this is a driver's car, that's the feeling you have in this car. I think some of this may be lost on people who just view vehicles as appliances, but I think Mazda's onto something. This is a joy to drive. It's a sportier environment to sit in, but it's still a practical small crossover vehicle. Now it is smaller, so some of the benefits of the whole crossover segment are a little bit pinched in this size class. I don't think that's a huge concern because I think people are going to understand how big this works or how big this is and what they need it for. But overall, I like this vehicle. Let's talk about who it's for. So I always wrap up these videos by talking about who this car is for, who it's best suited for, the types of people that would be more attracted to this car than others. And this one is interesting because Mazda has the Mazda 3 in the lineup. This doesn't add a whole lot more to the Mazda 3. It is something that is, in my mind, a little more luxurious, but you can get very luxurious Mazda 3s. The Mazda 3 is available with all-wheel drive. This is available with all-wheel drive. You do have good power here, and I do think this is just a class above the Mazda 3. So you do have that sort of nice, almost luxury car feel to this vehicle. But in that small crossover segment, there's things like the Kia Seltos. It's going to have more rear seat legroom, but it's much more boxy feel. There's a real differentiation between a Kia Forte and a Kia Seltos. There's less of a differentiation between a Mazda 3 hatchback with all-wheel drive and this. So it's going to be something that you're going to want to sit in, because the reality is some of the reasons we buy cars is because we like them. If you sit in this car and turn on the Bose audio system and play with that technology and enjoy the driver's experience of this car, I think this car is for you. If you're moving to a crossover because you want the practicality given to you by a crossover, this one doesn't add as much as other models. And I think that's just something to be aware of. And that's the best thing about being here at Jim Gilbert's Wheels and Deals. You can sit in this car, you can sit in a Mazda 3, you can sit in all the competitors within this class right next to it and use the same salesperson to give you the same numbers and the same information. So you're comparing apples to apples on different vehicles. The reality is we buy cars because we like them. We have to have a set of criteria that it matches, but once you get cars that kind of fit your criteria, you're always choosing a compromise in some area. To me, the compromise is in rear seat room in this vehicle, but overall, this is a really, really nice car. And like I said, as a 6-footer, I fit behind myself, and for a lot of people, that's all they need, and this is a joy to drive. So there you go, there's my review of the CX-30. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments, and make sure you subscribe, and I'll make sure I get back to you both in the comment section and in future videos. Thanks everybody for watching.